What if Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death wasn't an accident? And what if Bill Cosby knows more than he's letting on? And the most shocking part? This story starts years before Malcolm even stepped foot in Costa Rica. On July 20th, 2025, fans around the world were blindsided by the news. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was gone. The beloved actor, best known for playing Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, had been vacationing with his family in Costa Rica when tragedy struck. According to reports, Malcolm was caught in a powerful rip current while swimming near Playa Coclis, a remote but popular beach on the country's Caribbean coast. Eyewitnesses say he was pulled under suddenly, fighting the current as loved ones screamed from the shore. Surfers nearby rushed to help. CPR was administered, but after more than 45 minutes of resuscitation attempts, Malcolm was pronounced dead. The official autopsy report confirmed the cause of death as asphyxia due to submersion. In other words, accidental drowning. No signs of trauma, no foul play, just a devastating accident. At 54 years old, Malcolm's passing was a heartbreaking shock, especially for fans who had watched him grow up on screen and evolve into one of TV's most respected actors. But while the world mourned what seemed like a tragic loss, something didn't sit right with everyone. Because within days of his death, rumors started surfacing online. Whispers that Malcolm's drowning might not have been an accident. And those whispers, they all pointed back to one man, Bill Cosby. As news of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death spread, the public waited to hear from one man more than anyone else, Bill Cosby. After all, Cosby and Warner weren't just co-stars. They shared a bond that spanned decades. Cosby had often referred to Malcolm as like a son, and Warner had defended Cosby at moments when few others would. Their relationship to many felt like family. So when Cosby finally issued a statement, the expectation was grief, sorrow, maybe even silence. But what the public got was something else entirely. In his message, Cosby compared Malcolm's death to the 1997 murder of his own son, Ennis. He said he knew this pain, and that Malcolm's death had reopened wounds he'd never healed from. "I never stopped being a father to Malcolm," Cosby wrote, "and now I grieve like a father who has lost his son. Again." Some fans found the message touching, but others didn't. Across social media, users began dissecting every word. Some said the statement felt self-centered, focusing more on Cosby's pain than on Malcolm's life. Others noted how quickly the statement was released, almost too quickly, as if prepared in advance. But the most unnerving part? Cosby never mentioned Malcolm's daughter, his longtime partner, or the tragic scene in Costa Rica. His grief felt scripted, detached, as if it was less about Malcolm and more about protecting Cosby's image. And that's when the whispers started to grow louder. Because just days after Cosby's statement, Malcolm's mother broke her silence. And what she said next changed everything. For decades, Pamela Warner had kept her distance from the spotlight. As the mother of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, she had always been proud, but quiet. She rarely gave interviews. She never commented on her son's fame. And when controversy surrounded others from The Cosby Show, she stayed silent. Until now. Just 4 days after Malcolm's death, Pamela uploaded a raw, unedited video to a private Facebook group made for friends and family. But within hours, the video was leaked, and it went viral. In the shaky footage, Pamela appeared heartbroken, speaking from her home with red eyes and trembling hands. But it wasn't just grief she shared, it was doubt. "I need to say this while I still have the strength," she began. "There were things Malcolm never said out loud, but I saw the change in him." She never mentioned Bill Cosby by name, not once. But the tone was unmistakable. Pamela claimed that during the final years of Malcolm's life, he had become withdrawn whenever conversations turned to The Cosby Show. She recalled how he once told her, "There's stuff I'll take to my grave." She described moments where Malcolm would return from industry events visibly shaken and hinted that someone from his past was still exerting pressure on him, even in his 50s. "He was tired of covering for people," she said, fighting back tears, tired of pretending everything was fine. Her final words before the video ended chilled viewers to the bone. "I don't believe this was just the ocean. I don't believe my son just slipped away." No accusations, no names, but the message was clear. Something had haunted Malcolm, And now, his mother believed it followed him all the way to Costa Rica. And this was only the beginning, because what she revealed next hinted at a much darker truth. In a follow-up post shared just 24 hours after her initial video, Pamela Warner went even deeper. This time, her tone was sharper, less grief-stricken, more certain. She spoke slowly, deliberately. And though she still avoided naming names, every sentence pointed toward one man: Bill Cosby. "There are people who built careers off of silence," she said. "My son was caught in the middle of that machine." Pamela claimed that Malcolm spent years feeling trapped between loyalty and guilt, that there were things he witnessed as a young actor that he was told to forget. She didn't offer specifics, but said that Malcolm once confessed to her, "It was never just acting, that show was a shield." She also revealed that Malcolm had been planning to go public with parts of his story. According to Pamela, he'd been journaling, collecting old emails, and even meeting with a documentary team in early 2025. She described it as his way of reclaiming his truth. But shortly after that project began, Malcolm pulled out. Pamela said he grew visibly paranoid. She noticed him changing passwords, installing cameras, and canceling public appearances. He never explained why. He just told her, "I made people nervous. I was too close." And then came the trip to Costa Rica. According to Pamela, it wasn't a vacation. It was an escape, a reset. She says Malcolm told her he needed time away from the industry, time to think, time to decide how much he was ready to say. He wanted peace, she said. "And now I'm supposed to believe that's what he found?" Her voice cracked. She paused. Then she said something that sent shockwaves through the internet. "Someone made sure he stayed quiet." That line, just 6 words, was enough to light a fire online. Stay Quiet started trending. TikTok sleuths began digging into interviews. Reddit users launched threads connecting dates, flights, Cosby's past patterns. Something was forming, and Pamela's grief had become a rally cry. But as the online world pieced together theories, one name from Malcolm's past kept resurfacing, and not just in fan forums. As Pamela Warner's emotional statements spread across the internet, something strange began to happen. Old interviews and cast moments started resurfacing, and when you look at them through a new lens, they feel very different. Clips from press junkets, podcasts, and behind-the-scenes documentaries began circulating, especially moments featuring actors who once starred alongside Malcolm-Jamal Warner on The Cosby Show. And while none of them ever directly accused Bill Cosby of wrongdoing, many had a pattern of dodging questions or giving vague, uncomfortable answers when his name came up. One viral clip shows Kesha Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy Huxtable, being asked about Cosby's legacy in a 2023 interview. She pauses for several seconds, then says, "We all have complicated feelings. That's all I'll say." Another resurfaced interview featured Malcolm himself speaking on a podcast in 2017. When asked if he still stayed in touch with Cosby, he smiled uncomfortably and said, "We had a lot of history, and history is sometimes best left where it belongs, in the past." Then there's the famous 2019 cast reunion photo, the one where almost everyone showed up, except Malcolm. At the time, it seemed like a scheduling conflict. But now, viewers are asking, was it something else entirely? Some fans are pointing to subtle signs of emotional distancing in Malcolm's later interviews. How he'd speak passionately about his music, his roles on Sons of Anarchy and 9 to 11, but would go silent whenever The Cosby Show came up. Even Tempest Bledsoe, who played Vanessa, once admitted in a 2021 interview, "There are chapters of our lives we close, not because we want to forget, but because remembering them makes it harder to sleep." These fragments, barely noticed at the time, now feel like breadcrumbs. Hints that not everyone walked away from that show with fond memories. Hints that some, like Malcolm, may have been protecting more than just a legacy. And when those old interviews collided with Pamela's new claims, fans couldn't ignore it anymore. They wanted answers, and that's when the whispers of a secret arrest began. Just as Pamela Warner's cryptic words were gaining traction, another shockwave hit the timeline. Bill Cosby had been arrested. At least, that's what the internet believed. A series of viral tweets claimed that Cosby had been quietly taken into custody by federal agents on charges connected to a sealed case, one allegedly involving ongoing investigations tied to witness tampering, cover-ups, and obstruction. The source? A blurry screenshot of what looked like a legal document. No court seal, no confirmation, just a whisper. That turned into wildfire. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok videos claimed to have inside information. A leaked mugshot began circulating, quickly debunked as AI generated. But the damage was done. Cosby's name was trending again, but this time the word murder was in the same sentence. Media outlets like Radar Online and Hollywood Unlocked refused to comment, while independent bloggers ran with headlines like, "Cosby dragged back into the spotlight. What are they hiding?" Sealed indictments could link Cosby to Warner's final days. But here's what we do know. No official records of a new arrest exist in public databases as of this recording. Cosby's legal team has denied all claims, calling them wild conspiracy and baseless internet fantasy. Law enforcement has made no formal statement regarding any ongoing investigation involving Cosby and Malcolm's death. Still, that hasn't stopped the speculation. Because while hard evidence is missing, the timing of the rumors, coming just after Pamela Warner's emotional revelations, felt too perfect, too suspicious for fans to ignore. And the question isn't just whether Cosby was arrested. The question is, why does it feel like someone is trying to bury this story? Because while mainstream news outlets remain silent, independent investigators online are uncovering something even more disturbing. A strange link between Malcolm's death and a hidden incident in Costa Rica that no one's talking about. While mainstream media clung to the drowning accident narrative, locals in Costa Rica were telling a different story, one that never made it to US headlines. An anonymous staff member at the beachfront resort where Malcolm stayed told a regional outlet that the actor appeared tense and paranoid in the days before his death. He reportedly changed rooms twice, citing privacy concerns, and requested a private guard, something unusual for a low-profile trip. Then, hours before he entered the ocean for the last time, one hotel guest claimed to have overheard Malcolm arguing loudly on the phone. His voice was described as urgent, panicked, repeating the phrase, "You promised I'd be safe." According to the witness, he ended the call by shouting, "If anything happens to me, you already know who's behind it." That quote has since become a viral phrase across X and Reddit. And then came the biggest twist. A report from a freelance travel photographer who happened to be shooting on the beach that morning. He told an independent blogger that he saw two unidentified men standing at a distance while Malcolm entered the water. According to him, one of them appeared to be filming with a cell phone. When questioned later, no such phone or footage was ever recovered, and the two men were never identified. Whether coincidence or something darker, the timeline raises chilling questions. Why did Malcolm seem so on edge? Who was he afraid of? And what was he planning to reveal before he died? The last hours of his life, once dismissed as a tragic accident, are now being re-examined under a microscope. And online sleuths believe Pamela Warner's next revelation may finally tie it all together. Because after weeks of silence, she returned with 5 words that stopped the internet cold. Just when the internet began to quiet down, Pamela Warner broke the silence again. This time in an exclusive interview with a small, independent podcast titled Hidden Voices. No headlines, no cameras, just a trembling voice over the phone and a sentence that instantly shattered the internet. "He left me a letter." Pamela claimed the letter arrived in the mail 2 days after Malcolm's death, postmarked from Costa Rica, handwritten on plain stationery, and sealed in an envelope addressed only to her. She said she debated for weeks whether to reveal it publicly. But after seeing the rumors, the lies, and the rising tension online, she decided the world needed to hear at least part of it. And what she read changed everything. In the excerpt she shared, Malcolm wrote, "If something happens, just know I tried to do the right thing. I stayed silent for years, and it cost me everything. But I finally told the truth. Whether anyone listens, that's not up to me anymore." He ended the letter with one name, underlined, Bill. Pamela says she's handed the original letter over to her legal team and is now working with investigators to determine what Malcolm meant by finally told the truth. But she made it clear. She believes her son was eliminated before he could speak. "I don't care how rich he is. I don't care what he used to mean to America. That man doesn't get to walk away from this. Fans erupted online. Theories exploded. Even mainstream journalists began quietly investigating new angles. Because if Malcolm truly left behind a trail of truth, this story may be far from over. And as Pamela Warner stood in the wreckage of her son's life, one question echoed louder than all the others. What was Malcolm trying to expose? And who silenced him before the world could hear it? Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death was supposed to be a tragedy. Now it's looking more like a cover-up. From Pamela Warner's heart-wrenching confessions, to suspicious behavior in Costa Rica, to a cryptic letter that ended with one word: Bill. There are no official charges, no public arrests, no breaking news bulletins flashing across the screen, but behind the scenes, something is boiling. And fans aren't staying silent. Because this isn't just a celebrity mystery, it's a question of power, control, and the horrifying cost of telling the truth in an industry built on secrets. Was Malcolm ready to expose something? Was his death truly an accident? Or was it a warning to others? We may never get the full answer. But one thing's for sure, Pamela Warner isn't backing down, and neither is the internet. If you made it this far, you know this story goes deeper than headlines. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Malcolm was silenced, or is the internet seeing connections that aren't really there? Subscribe for more untold celebrity scandals, leaked insider stories, and hidden truths the media won't cover. And don't forget to like the video, because the more people who see this, the harder it becomes to bury the truth.